Hello. Today we're talking to Grandmaster Bob Jones and Deputy Grandmaster Hillel Benedykt. And in particular, they're helping to answer some of the questions that the public have about Freemasonry. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us today.
Good to be back, Wes.
Nice to be here.
Let's take a look at our first question today.
I've seen a few lodges closing down. Does this mean that Freemasons are going broke? Why are they closing?
So there have been some Masonic buildings around Victoria that have closed over the last several years. What's the reason behind the closure? Is it one of financial difficulty?
No, not at all, Wes. Quite the contrary. We at Freemasons Victoria have a plan for our accommodation strategy, and we overlay that across all our Masonic buildings. And there are some of our older buildings that are worth renovating and keeping, such as a beautiful renovation of an old building in Williamstown. And there's others that aren't worth keeping, whereas it's far better to amalgamate one or two or sometimes three Masonic centres into one.
So you're looking to improve the existing buildings in some cases and even build new ones?
Yeah, certainly. Where there's, as I said, we've already demonstrated that where the building is worth keeping, and some are, and some aren't, unfortunately. Some have gone beyond repair. But where they are, we'll do them up, and there's some beautiful old buildings out there that we have renovated, and there's others that we've gone a different route and put in a more modern, contemporary building, and maybe perhaps brought one or two or three Masonic centres into the new building, which is built in such a way that the upkeep of the building for the future, the commercial aspects of the building are far better than they've been in the past. It's building an accommodation strategy for the future of Freemasonry.
Well, we've got some more things for you to respond to, so let's have a look at another question.
What is a lodge?
A very simple and direct question. What is a lodge?
It is a fairly straightforward question, and a lodge is the basic unit of meetings that we have, if you like. It's like any organisation that has chapters or divisions. The lodge is the basic building block of where a group of people would meet, and there might be within a Masonic centre multiple lodges that meet, and throughout Victoria there are lodges that meet throughout the state. So it's the basic unit of meeting of Freemasons.
And next question is also one that's often on people's minds with respect to Freemasonry. Take a look.
I've seen women involved in some Freemason activities. Does that mean they're now allowed in?
Do you admit women to Freemasonry?
Nothing has changed in the 300 years we've been going in terms of that. But over the last couple of decades, as the Grand Master has suggested, Freemasonry has opened its doors, so women are able to view a number of the public ceremonies that we conduct, and they generally do engage with their partners in terms of activities that a lodge may conduct, whether that be social, charitable, community-based work. So they're far more involved than they ever were in the past, but they still can't join a lodge.
I think it's a generational change as well, Wes. The young man and his partner today are much more involved in each other's business and need to be and want to be involved. And I think that's a good thing. And Freemasonry has allowed that to happen through our open ceremonies, through our charitable fundraisings, our social events, all wonderful things for our partners, our families to be involved in.
And is there a place in this day and age for an organisation that supports men and the interests that are particular to men?
Absolutely. I think it's more relevant today than it's ever been.
And let's take a look at the next question.
Why do some Masonic centres have temple on the sign if they're not religious?
So is temple just a way of describing the building, or is it in fact a religious term?
I think it has a very religious connotation, and more so in the more modern era. And as such, we've tried to take it out of our Masonic centres. All our buildings today are called Masonic centres, so as we don't have any sort of conflict with the religious community, religious leaders, to show that we are not a religion, whereas in the past it didn't have that same connotation.
Once again, thank you for clearing up a common question. And here we have another person with a different question.
If Freemasons give so much money to the community, where does all the money come from?
Now there's a question we'd all like to know the answer to.
Well, basically from probably three major areas. Firstly, our Board of Benevolence has a large sum of money that they have certain rules and regulations around, but give to the community and to our scholarships and the like. So our Board of Benevolence is one source of money. And that fund's been built up over the last 124 years to a rather large sum today. We have our public charitable foundation that gives to charities as well. That was formed in 1989 as part of our centenary. And then of course we have every individual lodge within Victoria in their own small, large way contribute to the local area, the local community, more localised things that they support. So there's three very different areas of where the money comes from.
Are you able to give a ballpark figure of how much Freemasonry contributes on an annual basis?
We can certainly tell you how much the Board of Benevolence and the Public Charitable Foundation give out, in excess of $1.5 million a year. Very difficult to know how much a lodge in metropolitan area or the country give out, because they're autonomous and they do their own thing, whether it's $100, $500, $5,000. It's very difficult to try and collate the figures on that, but it would be a very large sum. It's somewhere way north of $1.5 million a year.
Now these are all common questions that people are wanting to know about Freemasonry, so let's take a look at the next one.
Why is it that Freemasons always seem to be older men?
I guess for somebody of that young age, everybody seems older. Is this the case? Are Freemasons typically older members of the community?
Look, there's no doubting our average age is in the mid to high 60s, but the important thing I think is to understand that is coming down. Over the last couple of years, we've had an influx of, a great influx of young men, and the average age of, I'd say, the last 800 to 1,000 men that have joined Freemasonry is in the mid-30s. So we've had a shifting of that older age. We love our older brethren, and we hope they all live to 100 years of age plus, but we need the next generation in the bottom as well, and that's exactly what's happening with Freemasonry now. There is a surge of young men, young in terms of mind, body, spirit, with a bit of get up and go in them, who want to be part of an organisation that they see has great teachings, great strength in its history. Whilst we can't stop all of us getting older, we're certainly bringing the young men at the bottom end to take over when we eventually are not here. So I'm very encouraged. I thank the gentleman for his question. As you say, he's a very young man, and I'm sure he thinks his father is a very old man. But we are bringing in the next generation, and that's what is important for the future of Freemasonry.
It seems a unique feature of the organisation that somebody can join at a young age and remain a member all of their life, unlike, for example, a sporting club.
There's many examples of that, Wes. I know when I joined, I was about 20 years old, and I'd say the oldest member in the lodge I was in was probably 90, and you had a lot of members in that over 60 type category. And it was one of the beauties of the organisation to be able to mix with all those different ages and backgrounds of people in an environment that was welcoming, friendly, and encouraging people to develop themselves.
Well, Most Worshipful Brother Bob Jones and Right Worshipful Brother Hillel Benedykt, Grand Master and Deputy Grand Master of Freemasons Victoria, thank you for giving up your time and helping to respond to some of the questions that the public have about Freemasonry, and helping to shed a light into an area that some people don't know much about.
Thank you, Wes. Could I thank the public for their interest, not only in this series, but obviously their probing questions, and I hope we've gone a long way to answering those and debunking all the myths.
Thanks, Wes.